Good afternoon and welcome to the 4 to 5, the Friday edition, my favorite edition of the 4 to 5. I'm Chad Silber, this is Lauren Coleman, and outside is Eric Chilton.
Outside where it's pretty dry right now, Eric. I know this morning when I walked out the door, I had to hop back in the house to grab an umbrella because it was raining outside.
Yeah. It was heavy at times too this morning. We're getting better and better. The sun is starting to come out, and you know, it's misleading though. You step out now and you're like, whoa, all sunshine, let's get out and enjoy the warmth. Nope. Cold air moving in, despite the fact that our skies are gradually clearing. And you'll be able to hear it on my mic here in a little bit, but these wind gusts are no joke. We'll show you that too coming up. Look at the temperatures. So we do color bands, right? So green is usually in the 60s and 50s, and when you get to that yellows, it's kind of going to the 70s. So if you look down east, we're seeing 70s, low 70s in Troy and Sanford. Then across our area, we're in the low 50s, but then it drops to the mountains into the 30s. So that's a big change in temperatures, and all of that cold air on the top left corner will be pushing in our direction tonight. It's crazy to think that we had high temperatures in the low 70s at one point this week, and now we're going to see these overnight lows in the upper 20s for your Saturday morning. At least it's sunny though, it'll be all clear. Wind gusts have been very strong today, anywhere from 25 miles per hour. We've seen some in the low 40s. There's 41 miles per hour in Greensboro. In the mountains, Boone at 43, Galax 37. It is blustery. We do expect that to continue tonight. Tomorrow it'll start to relax a little bit, but still I would say a little breezy tomorrow. On the radar, if you look at this, most of the rain now moving east of our area, so no worries there. It's the high pressure that really moves into place. Does a number on us here. So the high pressure comes in, winds are clockwise, so our winds coming out of the northwest, that drops us down to those upper 20s for tonight's overnight lows. Then as the high shifts to the east, we see just the opposite. Remember, clockwise winds. So on the left side, winds are coming in out of the south, and we see a warming trend. Now that may take a couple days. We're going to go from probably the 50s this weekend, low 50s Saturday, mid to upper 50s on Sunday. But then next week, with high pressure staying out to the east, we get warm again and go back into the 60s, and some models showing some 70s again. So we'll give you the whole week, the 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Eric, thanks. The 5 now former Memphis police officers charged with murder in the death of Tyre Nichols pleaded not guilty today to second-degree murder and other charges. Nichols' mother spoke following the hearing.
We have to start this process of justice right now, and I want each and every one of those police officers to be able to look me in the face.
The 5 officers are all out on bond. A 6th officer has been fired and a 7th has been suspended. 3 Memphis Fire Department employees have also been fired.
Here in North Carolina, civil rights attorney Ben Crump is calling for justice after the death of Daryl Tyre Williams. Last week, Raleigh police released body camera footage. The video shows the arrest of a black man on January 17th. Williams died after officers repeatedly used stun guns on him. Ben Crump wants the officers involved to face manslaughter charges.
He didn't pose any threat. He wasn't violent. The only people who were violent in that video were the Raleigh police officers. Daryl Tyre was not violent.
Attorney Crump says in the videos you can hear Williams telling police he didn't do anything and warned them about his heart problem as he was allegedly being stunned by officers. The FBI is investigating. 6 officers are on administrative leave during the investigation. The Teamsters Union represents Raleigh police officers. It released a statement on Williams' death and Crump's call for charges. First, our prayers and thoughts are with the Williams family, and we recognize this was a tragic incident. We have reviewed the video, and at this point, we could not determine any criminal actions or policy violations of the officers involved. We respect the process and recognize this incident is currently under the investigation by the SBI. We believe it is highly irresponsible for anyone to call for criminal charges prior to the SBI completing their investigation.
High Point police say they just made their largest weapons bust in city history. They say they raided a home on Glen Mead Drive and recovered 31 firearms, including rifles, handguns, pistols, and shotguns. They also found an enormous amount of drugs. Alexander Kuzmanov is now facing multiple charges related to the recent raid.
The Biden administration is defending their response to the toxic train derailment in Ohio 2 weeks ago. Michael Reagan, head of the Environmental Protection Agency, visited the site to test and ensure the safety of the water and air. Residents and local leaders are demanding for more to be done and more transparency. The derailment released toxic chemicals into the air and water, causing evacuations and fears of contamination. The water and air has been tested and there is no indication of contamination.
It could be a while before you see your state tax return refund. The state says it began accepting returns 2 weeks ago, but it won't start processing those returns until early March. Once processing begins, you will be able to track your refund status on the Department of Revenue's website. It's important to know that this will not impact your federal refund. A reminder, the filing deadline this year is April 18th.
North Carolina students could soon get in-state tuition if they go to school in South Carolina. A bill in the South Carolina General Assembly could make it happen. South Carolina education leaders say fewer students stay in state. They hope the discounted tuition attracts more students from our state. It would only apply to schools with fewer than 11,000 students. The bill still has many steps to clear before it becomes reality.
As you know, there are all sorts of laws when it comes to alcohol. A new bill in the state legislature raises some questions on the ins and outs of these rules. Our Verify team is clearing the air.
A new House bill could have you saying cheers to new alcohol specials if it passes. House Bill 94 was just introduced in the General Assembly. The bill would let businesses set special prices like 2-for-1 deals on alcoholic beverages. Either way, there are still several other North Carolina laws in place that limit when, where, and how much alcohol can be consumed. To look at these rules, we went to the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission and North Carolina law. First, no double fisting in North Carolina. Under the current rules and regulations, establishments cannot give more than one drink at one time to a customer. They also cannot sell more than one drink to a customer for a single price. So that means no bottomless brunches. What about pitchers and buckets of beer? According to the ABC Commission, businesses are allowed to sell pitchers and buckets. However, any drink considered a pitcher is more than one drink and must be sold to more than one person. On Sunday, you can't buy alcohol until 10 a.m. in North Carolina. In 2017, the brunch bill made it legal for restaurants to sell alcohol to customers on Sunday at 10 a.m. Until that law passed, alcoholic beverages could not be sold until noon. However, you still cannot purchase liquor on Sundays at ABC stores because they are all closed. What about holidays? There are only 4 times during the year when establishments can sell a package deal that includes alcoholic beverages. According to the ABC Commission, New Year's, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and Father's Day are holidays when businesses can offer a meal and alcohol at a single total price. With your Verify Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
So these laws have changed and been morphed and substituted and dropped over the years. I remember when it was 18 to buy alcohol, then they moved it to 20 at one point. And it was interesting because I was in college when that happened. So I was 20, and then legally, if I wanted to go buy a beer, I could. And then when I was 6 months into my 20 year, they moved it to 21. And so they wouldn't grandfather anybody in. So
Seriously?
So for 6 months, I could buy a beer legally, and then for the rest, I had to wait 6 more months. So then now, I know when I moved to Florida, you know this from living in Florida at a time, happy hour is a thing. I mean, they drop the prices, and you can't do that here. Not yet.
It's interesting to see the differences from state to state. I know changing it to 21 and up is because a lot of younger people, they haven't fully developed their judgment. But I wonder, with getting rid of happy hours or starting at a certain time in the morning, do you think that that limits drunk driving, or just certain other things? Do you think that that is impactful enough, these differences that have changed?
I feel like people are going to get it if they want it.
That's how I feel.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, even Sunday with ABC stores closed, that means more people buy on Saturdays.
Right, and I know that there are, they've over the years they've attempted to take or to change the law when it comes to happy hour. I know that this year there is another bill in the General Assembly right now that some lawmakers are pushing through to try to allow happy hours. Something that's so unusual to me is that the current law does not even allow a bar or a restaurant to advertise alcohol on outside of the building.
I did not know
You can't
that.
have a sign that says Budweiser.
Or
Wow.
bottomless mimosas, because you have a
Oh,
sign
yeah.
if you're a local, mom and pop, and you have bottomless mimosas,
Wow.
you can't put that outside.
I I only know for certain that it's about specific brands of alcohol.
Okay.
So like Budweiser, you can't have a Budweiser sign outside your building.
Did you, because you lived in overseas for a while, and I've always heard that Europe didn't have a drinking age, but was that the case when you were there?
I was fairly young then. I can't remember the drinking age, but I will say a lot of differences when it comes to alcohol or even cigarettes. They are promoted everywhere on the billboards.
Yeah.
And I know here in the United States, you don't see advertisement for cigarettes and things of that nature on billboards. And
Yeah,
stuff
when I
like
was
that.
little, I remember those on
Yeah.
TV. All right, we'll take a break. Be right back.
While it's often considered a health concern for older patients, surprising new research found an uptick in heart attacks for younger patients between 18 and 55 years old. I spoke with a Forsyth County man who survived a heart attack at just 30 years old. His message: heart disease does not discriminate by age. North Carolina State Trooper Ethan Bradshaw loves to be active, whether that's playing with his 7-month-old son or teaching a martial arts class. He's relatively on the move.
So I enjoy kind of just anything, kind of being outside and kind of getting my hands on stuff, and enjoy hunting, hiking.
Young and healthy, Ethan says he almost never saw a doctor. That is until the chest pain started during an early morning gym session in February of 2022. Just 20 days after his 30th birthday.
The chest pains got worse, started feeling nauseous, numbness in my jaw, left arm soreness. So I ended up calling another state trooper buddy of mine that's stationed at the beach. He is actually a medic. I called and told him my symptoms, and he's like, "Man, you're having a heart attack." And I was like, "Man, there's no way."
Ethan drove himself to the hospital where medics performed roughly 40 minutes of CPR and 7 shocks with a defibrillator. Tests revealed a 100% blockage in the left main artery down the front of Ethan's heart. His cardiologist, Dr. Samuel Turner, says this type of heart attack is nicknamed the Widowmaker, stating people don't usually survive this type of blockage.
When we think about heart attacks, the most common age is that people have heart attacks are in their 60s and 70s for both men and women. However, if you're less than 50 years of age, you can still have a heart attack. And about 6 to 7% of the population less than age 50 will have a coronary heart event.
Classic symptoms of a heart attack include chest pain, shortness of breath, nausea, and fatigue. Dr. Turner says the best way to prevent a coronary heart event is through healthy lifestyle changes.
The decisions you make today affect your health in the future, and it's very important for you to see your primary care doctor at least once a year so you can see what your blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar levels are.
After weeks of physical therapy, Ethan is back at work and enjoying life with his wife and newborn son. His message to others:
Know the signs, not only for yourself, but for your loved ones. Then don't be scared to go to the hospital and just get checked out. Your family much rather have to go visit you in the ER or, pay for the tests they have to done instead of having to plan a funeral.
In addition to yearly visits with your primary care doctor, Dr. Turner recommends 30 minutes of exercise 4 to 5 days per week and following a Mediterranean diet. And that diet consists of, rice, grains, beans, fruits, and vegetables.
Which I love Mediterranean diets. Like when I look at it, Lauren actually had it called up on the phone. when I look at that, I could eat that all the time. Do I? No, I need to. But that's something you have to live with it. You can't, diets don't work.
Yeah, it has to be a lifestyle change, not temporary.
I just can't believe 30 years old.
I know.
That's scary considering, we are both over 30 years old.
Well, for me.
It's scary. What's scarier is he was a relatively healthy guy for what we know. He says he was really active, working out. He's done martial arts pretty much his whole life. He's a martial arts instructor, a combat instructor with the state troopers. So, for this to happen, that's why it was so shocking. But I think knowing those signs and that he had a friend who's a medic that he called, and he's like, dude, sounds like you're having a heart attack.
Yeah.
He said his friend said, if you don't go to the hospital, I'll find somebody to take you there.
Yeah, it's interesting. He said do it for your loved ones if you don't want to do it for you. My youngest, my little girl who's going to turn 10 next month, she said to me one time, she goes, Dad, I want you to stay healthy because I want you to see me get married. And
my gosh.
that was an eye-opener for me. So do it for your loved ones as much as for you. We're coming right back. It's always good when we see someone with local ties reaching new heights and doing well, and that's exactly what Houston Odom did. He's the artistic director for an all-new theatrical circus show this weekend in Winston-Salem, sort of like a mini Cirque du Soleil type thing. And he got his start at the School of the Arts in Winston. Here's part of our conversation with him and a sneak peek at the show.
Since I was age 9, I started juggling, training, doing competitions and stuff, and then I went to school for design. I went to UNC School of the Arts and just graduated with a degree in scenic design. So I've been combining my knowledge of circus, design, theater, all of that, to where now that I've made my own company, it's kind of the culmination of all of that in one. So our company is Activate Entertainment, and our mission is really to provide high quality, meaningful performance that's also accessible to the public. Contemporary circus is not something that we really have around here. And so for us to provide something where, you might see the same artist that you'll see on a Cirque du Soleil stage, sometimes the exact same artist you'll see on a Cirque du Soleil stage, here in the Triad performing, and we're not charging $200 a ticket. In fact, all of our performances except this one have been free to the public. So we really do have a strong mission for providing something that people don't have access to usually. So Solstice, a winter circus experience, is our first indoor show, and it's a 75-minute long contemporary circus production. It combines local artists with national circus artists into a 75-minute, very cohesive show with a story, with great music, great lighting, great costumes. We really wanted to create an environment and an immersive experience. So to me, one of the things that makes this show really special is that we have some of our acts happen in the audience. For example, you'll see a hand balancer on canes that will happen, if you're in those first couple rows, literally right beside of you in the air. And every night people hold their breath while that act happens, and it's just quite amazing to watch, and something that you don't get when you go to a large 3,000 seat venue, something we could only do by doing it here on a smaller scale.
Look at the balance.
Yeah, that's cool.
So this is kind of a standard circus meets Cirque du Soleil somewhere in the middle. And as he mentioned, there are local performers and international performers, and they mix them together for this. So it's really cool. It's called Solstice, a winter circus experience, and it's in Winston-Salem this weekend. We'll have details on the website, but it's really cool, and he's got ties to the area.
I'm just so impressed with all the great talent that comes out of UNC School of the Arts. We've done several stories on actors and directors and big names that we didn't even know were from this area that went there. So they're definitely producing some great work.
When y'all were kids, did you have a favorite part of the circus?
I actually don't know if I've ever been to a circus.
That's
I was
great.
trying to think back, I've seen some of them on TV, but I actually don't know if I went to one. If I did, I was fairly young.
Don't remember.
And I probably was afraid of everything, including the clowns, because I didn't like people in costumes when I was younger.
What about you?
I really like the animals. So just the ability to train an elephant or a lion or a tiger to do something, it's incredible to me.
Earlier in my career, like my very first job in front of the camera in TV, the circus was in town, and they said, do you want to announce the opening of the circus? I said, sure, I'll do that. And they said, well, you have to ride an elephant in.
Oh, yes.
And so the elephant goes down on one knee, and I got to climb up in the saddle, and that was crazy.
How was that experience?
It
Because I've
was
seen a
fascinating.
lot of reporters do like a stand-up on
Yes.
top of an elephant, and I think that's pretty
They
cool.
said, scratch her behind the ear. And so I did, and he goes, no. That's like that to them. She goes, you had to use your elbow and go wham and rub it like that. And she said that, and then the elephant raised the trunk up and shook my hand. It was crazy.
What did their skin feel like?
Rough, really rough and bumpy. It was crazy.
Very cool
Interesting.
It was
experience.
fun. It was fun. But go check that out this weekend. It'll be neat. We'll be back. Well, these temperatures and winds are getting ready to do a number on us, that's for sure. When I was out in the weather garden earlier, just every now and again, there'd be just this really huge burst of wind, made you feel really cold. And it would calm down a little bit, more tolerable, but tomorrow morning is going to be a mess. You can see the colder air moving in. You see the blue shaded area, and what this map does is it takes the readings and just based on what the readings are, it does a color coordinated with it. So usually the light green is kind of 60s, yellows gets into the 70s, but that blue is into the 30s, and you can see what awaits us. All that is moving through. It's 51 degrees right now in Greensboro, but at lunchtime today, we were in the low 60s. That's how fast our temperature will drop. Really from the low 60s to the upper 20s in about a 15-hour period. I mean, that's incredible. Winds causing problems too. Out of the northwest, these current winds, and these are sustained winds, not gusts, 24 miles per hour in Winston-Salem, 24 in Greensboro. We've got 16 in Hickory. Drops down a little bit, 10 to 15 in Siler City and Pinehurst area, but Mount Airy with a wind gust at 21. When you look at that and kind of factor it in, what does it feel like? That's why we're seeing some of those readings in the 30s already and 20s for our mountain and foothill communities because the winds are so strong there. Across the region, we'll go out to the bigger picture here. It is a low pressure that's moving by. That's the front that goes off the coast there. That's what caused us the rain this morning. But it cleared out quickly. By midday, most of the rain was out of here. It will be windy tonight. It'll relax a little bit tomorrow, but still breezy on Saturday. But as this high shifts off the coast, then our winds kind of come in out of a southerly direction, and we see a warm up again. But we don't think that'll happen until probably, we'll warm up a little bit on Sunday, but next week we've got some 60s, and could we see 70s again? It's an amazing 7-day. We're all over the place, just like last week, really. You look at it, 52 for tomorrow, but really tomorrow is low in the morning. That's what you need to watch. 27 with clear skies. The high of 52 Saturday. Sunday, partly cloudy, 57. And then Monday, partly cloudy, 63. Notice we're in the upper 60s Wednesday, slight rain chance, 73 on Thursday, back down to 64 Friday. And some of those models on Thursday were going even warmer, so we'll keep you posted.
Kindness goes a long way these days. In honor of Random Acts of Kindness Day, I asked you on Facebook, who is the kindest person in your life? Here's what you had to say. Kevin Adams wrote, my loving mother, 88 years old next month, made sure all of us were taken care of when my father was gone all week driving a truck to provide for us. Richard Miller, my aunt, she always praying, listening, and going out of her way for family and friends and strangers. Never had a bad word or even get upset with people. She always gave her best. Denny Williams wrote, Jesus, he gave his life for me and for the world. And then Nestle wrote, my loving wife.
Good answer, Nestle.
Great answer.
Right.
That's right.
Good answer.
That's the right answer.
How about you guys?
Gosh, the
They're
kindest
person. Well, obviously, I feel like I've met a lot of kind people in my life, whether it's at work or in my family. But I got to say, my mom, she just is so selfless and really puts the needs of others ahead of her own, especially when it comes to her family and the people she cares about. And I feel like as I've gotten older, I've grown to appreciate it more or see it more, things I didn't recognize or understand. Sure. And just certain sacrifices or different things she did when I was younger, which I might have been like, why are you doing that? I definitely am glad that she did those things, and I understand it now.
I'd have to say my mom and my dad in particular, because he was almost too nice to a fault. You know, I used to tell him, you gotta, you know, he's
Sure.
like, nope. I remember one time he was going to give money to a homeless guy, and I was like, Dad, why don't you show him, like, let's tell him where the shelter is and help him to find. And then I said, what if he takes that and buys something he shouldn't, alcohol, drugs, whatever. My dad said, I give to him with a good heart, and God sees that. What he does with the money is up to him. And I thought,
that is true.
I said, there you
God
go.
knows your heart.
Yep.
Probably my friend Maggie. She is just so genuine and sincere, and always making sure that all of her friends and family just feel warm and welcome, and really just like the biggest cheerleader if you have any news to share at all. I mean, and it just seems so genuine all the time.
It's beautiful. I do want to give a quick shout out to someone in our newsroom. You know who I think
I'm
is
gonna
the
guess. Go ahead.
Blair.
Yeah, I thought
Our
you were
digital producer, she is so kind. When we were pitching the story earlier, her name definitely came up. I just think she's so giving, so nurturing, and just how she goes out for all holidays and makes sure everybody feels special.
Always happy.
Always
Yep.
happy, and if she's upset, we wouldn't know. She just
Right.
always has a smile on her face.
We love you, Blair.
That's right. Tim Buckley's on that list too. We'll be right back.
Jalen, mic check 1 2 3 4. I said we took it to the car wash though before we even left Florida, so it was all good. It was all good.
Welcome back to the 4 to 5. Lauren, can you guess what 4 letters I'm thinking of right now?
TGIF.
That's right, TGIF.
Goodness, it's Friday.
We are happy. Eric Chilton, I know you're happy too.
I am happy. Even happier to be outside in sunshine for a change.
Look at that sun on your face.
It is.
It's been a while.
Nice.
I'm a little jealous.
You know, well, you won't be later on when I'm doing that 11 o'clock tonight. It's going to be cold. Yeah, let's talk about that. Big changes for us, right? We started out the day with rains that were heavier at times. We warned you about this yesterday, and it pretty much did what we were saying. The rain was heavy in the early morning hours, just in time for morning commute for most folks. And by about lunchtime, it started to head back out. Kind of unusual. We hit our high temperature today at noon. We usually hit it about this time of the day, 4 o'clock, 3 to 5, somewhere in that time period. But today we were in the low 60s. Think about that, from noon to 4:30 right now, the time. So in 4.5 hours, we've dropped 10 degrees already, and we got a ways to go. So we'll go from those low 60s earlier today down to the upper 20s tonight. We already have some 30s back in the mountains. Winds are a problem, our winds today, and these are sustained, not gusts. The gusts were even higher. Greensboro recorded a wind gust today of 41 miles per hour. And you're looking at mostly, well, I'd say 10 to about 25 mile per hour sustained winds, depending on where you are, all across the viewing area. And that's kind of a blustery day. We actually have a fence around our weather garden here, so it protects us a little bit from that. It feels more like it's 22 in Galax, 21 in Boone. That hasn't quite reached us yet, but it will. It will feel even colder tonight as we go into the overnight period. Clouds are going to start to clear out. We'll see some good sky conditions. We're calling for clear skies in 27 for that low tonight, and then tomorrow the high temperature in the low 50s. Here's what happens if the high is parked to our west, so back on the left, then that clockwise flow around the high brings winds out of the northwest for us. And then just the opposite, by the time we get into Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, it goes on to the east and our winds come in out of the south, and that's a warmer flow for us. So get ready for another seesaw of a week with temperatures. 52 and sunny on Saturday, partly cloudy 57 Sunday. Pretty good weekend, actually. Our normal high is 54. Next week, though, Monday 63, Tuesday 64, only a very slight rain chance Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We build to the upper 60s and low 70s for Wednesday and Thursday of next week.
All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup now. First up today, a major discount chain is closing all of its locations. Tuesday Morning has filed for its second bankruptcy in 3 years. The Dallas-based company has 2 stores in Greensboro, one on Battleground and one on Bridgeford Parkway. It's not clear when the stores will close for good, but we do know the Battleground location is having a store-wide sale.
In addition to eggs, your morning breakfast bill is about to get a bit more expensive. This month, the USDA predicted Florida will produce 16 million 90-pound boxes of oranges, which is surprisingly a 61% drop from last season. Usually, Florida orange groves produce around 200 million boxes in a year. The damage from Ian set the citrus groves back in addition to a widespread citrus disease, which is taking over some OJ producers. Reports predict close to a 7.1% increase in food prices. Spring break is around the corner, and TSA officials expect numbers to look like they did before COVID. For those catching flights to their destination, there are some tips to make sure your travels are less stressful. The golden rule is to get to the airport 2 hours before your flight to ensure you have enough time to make it through security. Download your boarding pass to your phone, pack as light as possible so you don't have to keep up with loose paper, and consider insuring your flight in case of cancellations or delays.
The U.S. Census Bureau says close to 43% of Greensboro's population is African American. As that number continues to grow, WFMY News 2's Jalen Gilkey learned more about the city department dedicated to growing the number of minority-owned businesses.
Greensboro's Minority and Women Business Enterprise team has one goal: to make sure that the city is doing its part to help bring minority-owned businesses to the area. Now, that department, or the MWBE as they are like to be called, was created to make sure that the city of Greensboro ensures that minority and women-owned businesses are afforded the opportunity to participate in the city's contracting processes for commodities, construction, and many other professional services.
We ensure equal opportunity for city contracts in all area of contracts, be it a goods, be it a service, be it a construction project or a professional project, that all minorities and women have the opportunity to fairly compete on those services.
One of the businesses that has utilized these services provided by MWBE is Solutions Accounting, Tax, and Consulting.
26 years. This is our first office. This one has been here 26 years. I've set up several MWBE clients, and I think that that's a phenomenal program. They help. They're going to get you the exposure that you really need. So I think that that's a phenomenal program.
If you'd like to get in contact or have any questions for the Minority and Women Business Enterprise Office, I've attached a link to their website in this web story on WFMY2.com.
What a cool organization. I mean, or just an office to be able to help people. I mean, a lot of people, when you're starting a business, you might not know what to do, how to get help, and so I think that that's a great idea.
I think it's such a great office just to have access to resources, because I think a lot of times when it comes to certain minority businesses, there's a lot of hurdles and obstacles in the way to getting access to certain resources, or just not having the knowledge of them. So it's great that there's something specifically geared towards those kind of businesses.
And I've done small businesses for myself in the past, and I can tell you that you do start out clueless. I mean, you really have to know somebody that can help you. This is a perfect place to, all you need is somebody to call. Like, how do I do QuickBooks?
Yeah.
How do you do QuickBooks? You know, that type of thing. How much is rent going to be? And if you have brick and mortar, is a lot of questions.
And there's only one requirement before you reach out to the MWBE. You have to be registered with the North Carolina Hub, and that is for the underutilized and underserved small businesses in the country in the state, that are owned by minority owners.
All right,
Awesome. Good
Jalen,
deal.
thanks.
Thank you.
You can get a list of Black-owned businesses in the Triad simply by texting the word SHOP to the number on your screen. We will send you a link.
Today, Ward Elementary students had a special visitor for Black History Month. Beekeeper Samantha Fox Winship showed the students some fun farm friends. She came prepared with more than props. She also preached her purpose to inspire children to know they can be anything, even if it is not something they have been exposed to in their community or through their family.
I have a purpose-filled life going out and educating kids about beekeeping and some of the things that I do, and I think that just waking up every day with the purpose is something I hope everybody finds, something that drives them, something that really moves them even when it gets hard, and that's my compassion for teaching youth about beekeeping. And like I said, I didn't experience that growing up.
Winship is owner and a farmer at Mother's Finest Family Farm. She is also one of a few black female farmers in Forsyth County. Absolutely love this story and her message, because there's so many opportunities out there for different types of job titles, and it doesn't have to be anything that you've seen in your family or seen other people do. You really can do anything that you put your mind to.
I admire beekeepers because I'm kind of scared of it, of bees, and I've seen them. There's a lady on TikTok.
I've seen
what
her.
I'm talking about?
That she basically just touched
With her
bees and they
hand.
don't even bite her.
She'll scoop them out with her hands and relocate them to a new hive.
I know
and
who you're talking about.
I don't get it, but that's a fascinating field.
Ever since I did a bee story a few years ago here, I have been so fascinated by them. I spent a day with a beekeeper where they have those hives, and she was explaining about how really because they work so hard and so diligently, and they have like a one-track focus, that that's all they do is just gather. And so she showed me near the beehive. She's like, look, if you look in the air, you will see basically a highway of bees as they're just in and out, in and out. And she said, watch, go stand in front of it. So I stood in front of it, and the bees just started flying around me and just continued their path.
Line.
So they just weren't paying you
They
any
were
attention?
just like, up, something got in my way. Okay, just go over it and
Here's
keep going.
the path.
Wow.
I mean, unbelievable. And didn't wear any sort of protection.
Well, I'm glad we have these people out there,
Yeah,
because
me too.
I'm terrified of bees.
And it's so
I'd rather
important.
them do it.
Bees are so important.
Absolutely.
Just to the food chain. I mean, it's a great hobby and a job.
That's why they're called worker bees.
Passion.
We'll be right back.
Passion with a purpose.
Looking at our temperatures, and just since noon, we talked about this earlier, but in about 4.5 hours, we've dropped about 11 degrees. And we got a ways to go from 51 right now, which by the way, the high today was in the low 60s. So 51 now, down to about 26, 27 degrees tomorrow. And it'll be even cooler, of course, in our mountain and foothill communities. That cold air is starting to move in. Wind speeds right now, these are sustained winds, not gusts. It may look like a gust, but winds are blowing in at about 24 miles per hour in Greensboro. Take that to 23 in Winston-Salem. I mean, everybody between about 15 to 25 miles per hour for sustained winds, and gusts even higher at that, 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts as we head into the evening. When we look at this and we take you into the future with what it will feel like tomorrow morning, it's going to feel pretty much like the 20s for us. But if you go into the mountain communities where those wind gusts will be higher, it'll feel like single digits in places like Boone, maybe Asheville, but definitely Boone and possibly Galax as well. Across the region now, clouds kind of exiting little by little with high pressure moving in. We're going to be in good shape sky condition. It's just cold. 27 the low tonight, 52 tomorrow, all sunshine, partly cloudy Sunday and 57. Look at the temperature build again next week, 63, 64 Monday, Tuesday. Slight rain chance Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but we top out in the upper 60s and low 70s on Thursday.
The Carolina Hurricanes are set to play in their first NHL regular season outdoor game this Saturday in the 2023 Navy Federal Credit Union NHL Stadium Series. They'll hit the ice against the Washington Capitals at 8 p.m. at the Carter Finley Stadium. The NHL says they hope to expand the world of hockey to new fans.
And we're just trying to expose the game to as many people as possible, and these games do just that. It's why everybody knows about it, and it's why we keep on doing these games, not only in Raleigh, but all over the country. They really do create a buzz.
We'll hear from the Canes about the outdoor game coming up on WFMY News 2 at 6 and 11. People in North Carolina take their sports seriously, so I asked you about your favorite sporting event in our state, and you all had a lot to say. Robert Littleton says, I love arena football at the home of the Carolina Cobras at the Greensboro Coliseum, and pro wrestling. David Cornelius, my own kids' competitions and games, but also NC football games. Rose Martin wrote NC Tar Heels basketball. Kevin Adams, love to go watch the Charlotte Knights play baseball in the summer. Nothing like hot dogs and peanuts and hearing the crack of the bat. I think I'll have to agree with that. My favorite thing so far has been going to Grasshoppers games.
Yeah.
I went to at least 3 of them last year, and they were just, one of them was a doubleheader. It's just so great, especially when the weather is great and if you can get a seat underneath the shaded area.
Oh, sure.
It's nice.
I enjoy Hoppers games too. Unfortunately, because of my work schedule, I can't go to Thursday games. I love a Thursday
Yes.
baseball game, but yeah, I love the Hoppers. I also love going to games at Bank of America Stadium, Panthers games. So fun, such a good time, especially if the Panthers are winning. Otherwise, people start streaming out of the stadium. But I love doing that. I would love to go to that hockey game this weekend.
You would?
Be outside.
Because hockey is like in your blood. You grew up playing hockey like your
Right,
whole life.
yeah, and I mean the fact that they only do one of these games like a year, and they chose Carolina this time around, it's gonna be cool. Tickets are expensive though. We'll be right back. As you know, gyms across the country shut down during the pandemic. A quarter of them actually shut down completely, never reopened. But fitness centers are making a comeback. A retail tracking study shows gyms have seen a 40% increase in people compared to 2 years ago. Gym numbers still aren't quite back to pre-pandemic levels, though. One gym goer says he's just happy to be back.
It's the community feel. To me, working out at home has its benefits, but it doesn't push you the way seeing someone else that's doing the same workout that might be pushing a little bit harder than you. It kind of drives you, it fuels you.
Industry groups say more than 1.5 million fitness jobs were lost during the pandemic.
Well, she is known as Lady Blue, Billie Holiday. What a voice. Today on U Day, Coach shares words of wisdom from this legend as she reminds us of the epic comeback that really lives in all of us.
Singer Billie Holiday once said, "People always tell me I'm making a comeback, but nobody ever tells me where I've been. No one will ever understand your comeback story like you do. You have overcome many setbacks, yet you found the faith to pull yourself up from mediocre to prominence. Wherever life has taken you and whatever obstacles were waged against you, it was not powerful enough to prevent your comeback story. Getting knocked down is part of life, and all of us have faced that reality at some point in our lives. What I've learned is the staying down that robs us of our comeback and will alter our thinking, where the ground becomes greater than the ceiling. This is your comeback. You have a story to tell." This is Coach Lamont. Make today your best U Day. I'll see you tomorrow.
And this is also Coach Lamont's comeback. It's been a while, at least since
is.
I've seen him. I think he came back a couple weeks ago when I was on vacation, but it's great to see him on our airwaves again.
You talk about comebacks, he knows that all too well because he came here in person one time and we did a one-on-one chat. You remember that?
Yeah, it was great.
In the Weather Garden. And he told his story. He talked about dealing with drugs and places in his life where he didn't want to go, and he finally built himself back with a nice family and got himself where he needs to be, and he knows all about comebacks.
I love a good comeback story.
I do too.
You know, whether it's in a movie or in real life, a friend or a family member, when you see someone that has continually been down, and you see them on the upswing, I love that.
I did a 2 cents a couple weeks ago about setbacks, and it's just about training your mind to say your setback is just a setup for a comeback. Use that setback as a reason of purpose to keep moving forward.
We're going to move forward to a break and pay some bills. We're coming right back.
Lots of bills.
Yes.
Can you pay my This young woman is just one of a few.
Mic check. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1.
Hi there, 1 2 3 4 5. We are talking about cold.
Mic check. 1 2 3 3 2 1 1 2 3 3 2 1. Mic check.
Mic check. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9.
there, it's time for my 2 cents. And today I want to talk about something it's kind of a full circle life thing, right? So I was a big drama kid in high school, even up into my 20s. I've done about 30 plays, 30 plus. And my daughter wanted to be in the school play, Drew. So she decided, and I didn't know she had this in her, right? She just out of the blue. Well, last night it happened. So here's what it looked like. A bunch of cute kids, all the 4th graders at Northern Guilford Elementary up there singing their hearts out, doing cute little, almost Broadway style numbers, little dance moves, lots of smiles. It was great. She was having a blast, but I could tell, and I took a picture of it, she was nervous as she was up there waiting for her time. So then her time comes, and it was adorable. They put little headphone mics on them, like singers do nowadays. And she had that, and she was supposed to be a postal worker that was ordering her postal workers that worked with her almost like a drill sergeant. It was the cutest thing. She did a great job. The audience applauded. She sang her song, and at the end, parents were going crazy, of course. It was a proud moment for me as a parent, but it was also a full circle type thing. It made me think of my days in drama, and especially in high school. I really didn't get into it until middle school, but middle school and high school, going to competitions, winning awards, being excited, and I got to see it through my littlest, my last of the Chiltons, Drew, who will turn 10 next month. I can't believe it. She did a great job. We gave her a bouquet of tulips when it was over. We told her how much we loved her. Those moments are moments, parents, that we take with us forever, and last night was one of mine. But that's just my 2 cents, and that's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.
Right now, a shortage of trade workers is leading to higher wages across the industry.
The average salary for skilled workers is more than $48,000 a year. That's about $3,000 more